Hi-ho, it's your favorite panda. At first glance, Kino der Toten seems like a pretty straightforward map. You load in, turn on the power, link the teleporter, and get Pack-a-Punch before surviving as long as you can. But once you start digging into its history, you find cut content, hidden details, developer stories, and long-standing zombies myth that the community has debated for years. That's exactly why I wanted to dive into this today. We're going to start with the facts that just about every zombie fan knows, to the facts that almost probably no one knows. Let's start with one of the biggest facts that everybody knows about Kino der Toten. Originally, this map was meant for World at War. A lot of people know Kino as the launch map for Black Ops 1, but what some people don't realize that it was actually supposed to be the final DLC map for World at War. After the success of Zombies mode, Treyarch wanted to keep building on it, and Kino was already well into development while World at War was still receiving DLC. The map was planned to release after Darius, but after development continued, Treyarch shifted its focus to Black Ops, and instead of rushing the map out, they ended World War's lifecycle. And to be honest, that was probably the right decision. Kino ended up introducing an entirely new group of players to zombies, and for a lot of people, this was the very first map they've played. Me specifically, this map terrified me as a kid. You can actually see some leftover from World at War development if you look closely. A lot of the map's layout and overall design still has that darker, more grounded feel that World at War maps were known for. It's also like Kino sits right in the middle between horror-focused style of World at War and more story-driven direction that Black Ops would eventually take on. And I honestly think it's one of the reasons people still love this map to today. It had just enough of that creepy World at War atmosphere while introducing mechanics that would become staple of zombies for years to come. The meaning behind the name. If you've been playing zombies for a while, you've probably already heard that Kino der Toten translates to Theater of the Dead. Treyarch liked to use German names for all the World at War maps, and even through Black Ops, it was a name game. And they even decided to keep that tradition going with Kino. And let's be honest, that name is awesome. But it actually fits the map perfectly. The entire map takes place in an abandoned theater that's completely fallen apart. You've got written movie posters, broken seats, boarded up hallways, and a stage that's become the center of all the action. It almost feels like the theater was frozen in time the moment everything went wrong. One detail I think is pretty interesting is that on the stage, it almost acts like the main character of the map. Whether you're spinning the mystery box, activating a music Easter egg, or training zombies for high rounds, you're consistently finding yourself back on the stage. It's the one place every map, or every player I should say, ends up returning to over and over and over again. The Nova 6 Crawlers. If Kino der Toten was your first ever zombies map, these guys were probably one of the first enemies that made you panic. They're fast, they explode into poisonous gas, and if you're not paying attention, they will completely ruin your fucking train. But these enemies didn't just come out of nowhere. Nova 6 was actually introduced in Black Ops campaign as a deadly chemical weapon. Treyarch took that idea and turned it into an enemy for zombies by having the gas mutate the people who were exposed to it. It's a cool way of tying the campaign and zombies together without making it feel forced. And to be honest, at the time, it was really fucking cool. Something else that's pretty interesting is that the Crawlers round completely changed the pace of the game. Up until then, you were focused on shooting zombies at the head, and then you would have to point your gun down and shoot at the feet, and it really did make training and shooting zombies in trains very weird. Made you had to change up your whole strategy. At the same time, they were really good because every time you would shoot them, they would also explode into the poisonous gas and do damage to other zombies around you. With that said, you could technically kill a whole horde of zombies with just one explosion. It's rare, but it is possible. The 115 Music Easter Egg. The next entry is probably one of the most iconic Easter eggs in zombies history. If you played Kino more than a few times, you probably activated it by accident or had a friend tell you to hold interaction button on 3 little meters fragments hidden around the map. Once you find all 3, the song 115 starts. It was written by Kevin Sherwood and features vocals by Alina Sigmund. And for a lot of Zombies fans, it was one of the most recognizable songs in the entire series. And I'm sorry if I butchered those names. What's cool is that this wasn't just some random background music. Treyarch actually went out of their way by hiding original songs in their Zombies maps. And 115 helped make those musical Easter eggs something players actually look forward to on every new release. The title itself is also a reference to Element 115, the mysterious material that's the center of most zombie storyline. I also think it's just crazy how many people discovered new types of music because of this one Easter egg back in 2010? Hearing a full metal song suddenly start blasting while you're training zombies caught a whole lot of players completely off guard. Me too, but I fucking loved it. It made surviving rounds feel even more intense, and a lot of people felt like it made you play better. When someone mentions 115, they definitely mean the 115. What's even more interesting is that Wonderwolf DG2 was actually originally supposed to be on Kino, while the Thunder Gun was considered to be on 5. Unused voice lines in the game files suggest Treyarch swapped the Wonder Weapon during development for balancing reasons. The flamethrower was also cut from Kino. There's leftover references in the files showing it was intended to be usable for the map before being removed. Several Black Ops weapons, including the AK-47 and 60 and others, were planned for zombies but never really made it into the final version. Some even have leftover Pack-a-Punch datas in the final. The portraits around the theater. If you take a good look around Kino der Toten, especially in some of the hallways and the backstage areas, you'll notice a few strange portraits hanging on the walls. Most players never really pay attention to them because you're really focused on surviving and not fucking getting caught in a goddamn train. Some of these portraits are often references to characters, scientists, or also connected to Group 935. In early zombie storylines, back when Black Ops 1 was first coming out, players didn't have nearly as much lore as we do now. So these little environmental details were some of the only clues Treyarch gave us about the world aside the map. Looking back at it, it's pretty cool to see how much storytelling Treyarch managed to do without a single cutscene. They hide little details and environments and let the community figure out what they meant. Sometimes those theories were right and sometimes they were way off. But that was the fun of it. The Thunder Gun. When players were introduced to Kino der Toten, we were also introduced to one of the most strongest and most mind-blowing guns we ever seen, the Thunder Gun. Even after all these years, it's still considered one of the strongest and most satisfying weapons to ever shoot. Unlike weapons like the ray gun or the Wonderwolf, the Thunder Gun doesn't fire bullets or electricity. Instead, it creates an incredibly powerful blast of compressed air that sends anything in front of you flying across the fucking room. What's interesting is that what we talked earlier is that it was supposed to be on 5 while the Wonderwolf was supposed to be on Kino. During development, Treyarch swapped the two, and honestly, I can't imagine Kino without the Thunder Gun. It fits the map perfectly and ended up becoming one of the most biggest reasons why people remember it today. Another cool detail is that even though it looks almost futuristic, the Thunder Gun is never really explained in-game, like a lot of early Zombies content. Treyarch leaves it up to the player to wonder who built it, how it works, how it ended up inside the mystery box. It's one of those weapons that became an instant classic. Even now, if you ask someone who named their favorite Zombies wonder weapon, there's a good chance the Thunder Gun is near the top of their list. It's simple, it's ridiculously powerful, and somehow it never gets old watching an entire horde go across the goddamn room. If you ever used a teleporter in Kino, you probably know that every once in a while you'll be sent to a random room instead of directly back to spawn. But something a lot of players either missed or never really knew about, it's the film that's been lying around there. During these short teleport sequences, you can catch a glimpse of old film laying on the ground. It's only for a few seconds, but most people probably miss it by grabbing a fire sale or max ammo, stuff like that. Back when Black Ops 1 first came out, these clips sparked a ton of discussion in the Zombies community. People would pause videos frame by frame trying to figure out where the footage was or how to get it. But when you finally grabbed it and put it inside of the projector, it would play a video on screen. And those videos were really creepy. Just staring at them at long nights as a young kid, it really gave you the fear of, wow, this fucking sucks. Now for this last bit, I don't want to talk about a secret or a hidden detail. I want to talk about the legacy that Kino der Toten has left behind on us players. Over the years, we've gotten maps like with massive Easter eggs, boss fights, buildables, mechanics that nobody could have imagined in Black Ops 1. But even with all of that, people still come back to Kino. I like to think it's because Kino strikes a balance that not many players have. It's easy enough for a player to jump into, understand, but it's also deep enough that experienced players can spend hours chasing high rounds or just reliving old memories. For a lot of people, this wasn't just another Zombies map, it was their Zombies map. The one that they stayed up all night playing with their friends, the one they learned how to train on, the one they made fall in love with the fucking mode, my guy. That's why more than 15 years later, people are still making videos like me, setting world records and searching for little details they somehow missed all those years ago. And honestly, I don't think that's ever going to change anytime soon. And that's where we're going to leave Kino der Toten here today. If you learned something new, or just there's a fact or a theory or detail that I might have missed, let me know down in the comments. I love to hear what you guys have found over the years. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, and if you want to support the channel, and if you're new here, consider subscribing because I got plenty more zombies content on the way. As always, thank you so much for watching. I've been Panda, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.